MSGPM presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Your app is ready, Emperor. My name is Kazim Famiwide, and right now you are checking out the New York Knicks taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And one of my favorite type of games, it's an Immanuel Quickley game, people. 25 points off the bench, holding the Cavaliers to 35% shooting in a 21-point win. We're going to talk a whole lot of Quick, talk a whole lot of Knicks defense, but before we get into any of that, got to bring in my man, my mellow, my boy, Jeff Eisenband with the numbers. Jeff, talk to me about your boy Immanuel Quickley. He was an exciting rookie. He wasn't the first round pick for the New York Knicks, but he was definitely the person who caught everyone's eye as soon as he landed in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and I think it's because something that Kaz always says, the Knicks need guys who can create their own shot, and we found that out early from Immanuel Quickley. He could do it from the outside. He could do it from the inside. You see what he did in Summer League this year, 20.2 points, 7.8 assists, continues to become a dynamic player. I think the number that really jumps out to me from him last year, though, was 19.4 minutes per game. He didn't play 20 minutes per game. And I think that's important because he's going to be someone who gets more time on the court this year. He probably won't start, but he's going to come off the bench. And I'm going to sound like a broken record. Shooting is where Immanuel Quickley will continue to improve. It's what he was clearly working on the second half of last season. And it's what the Knicks will need from him, especially because the Knicks have Derrick Rose. They have Kemba Walker to handle the basketball. He'll continue to play a lot of off guard for the Knicks.
You know, he's the most appropriately named Knick because as soon as he comes off the bench, he gets buckets quickly. But let's talk about the other side of the hoop. The New York Knicks were led by Tom Thibodeau and his trademark NBA defense. He won Coach of the Year as well. We all knew Tibbs was going to have an effect on this team when he first joined it. But who saw this coming, Jeff? Talk to me about the impact on Tibbs.
Well, I mean, he's a guy who's done this basically everywhere he's went. You know, he immediately changes the culture. He changes everything that's in the locker room. But, you know, he changed the entire structure of this team to make it such a defensive, you know, presence. Julius Randle, a guy obviously that went to Kentucky, that played that high-powered Kentucky offense under Coach Cal, went to the Lakers, was on the Pelicans, you know, had never really been on a defensive team like this. So you're doing that with players. I'm sure RJ Barrett has been thinking buckets his entire high school career at Duke and, you know, just created a team in the Knicks that was able to be among the best defensively, but struggled a little bit to score the basketball. So I think that's the biggest place that Tibbs and the coaching staff need to improve this season. You've got the defense down, but can you score the basketball at the other end? And obviously, it sounds so simple, but by the numbers, that's what the Knicks need to do to be an even better team this year.
Well, if the Tibbs effect was more evident by the hardware he brought home, being the NBA's Coach of the Year. So you know what time it is. Let's hit up Caesars Sportsbook and full screen me some of those odds for the Coach of the Year for 2022. Steve Nash leads all comers with plus 900, tied with Eric Spoelstra of the Miami Heat. Steve Kerr with plus 1100 odds. Frank Vogel and Billy Donovan all share the same odds as the Western Conference Coach of the Year, and the runner-up to the NBA Coach of the Year, Monty Williams, with plus 1,200. Jeff, talk to me about these names.
Well, it's so hard to predict at the top of this list, right? Tom Thibodeau and Monty Williams last year were not at the top of the list going into the season when it was about who would win Coach of the Year. The only guy on this list who I think has something to prove and who can overperform this year is Eric Spoelstra. And I've talked about the Miami Heat are my team in the East that I'm not saying they're going to win the Eastern Conference, but I think they will be the team to dramatically improve the most from last year. That's a team that went to the finals 2 years ago. And I think Eric Spoelstra, I'm surprised that he hasn't won Coach of the Year, the official, the NBA Head Coach of the Year award. I think at plus 900, it's good luck for him.
You know, Jeff, there's a lot of names missing on that list. One in particular that I'm not really happy to not see. So it's time to pull up some long shots and see where our boy Tibbs landed at real quick. Full screen me real quick, producers. You got Tom Thibodeau, 2,500 odds to repeat as Coach of the Year. But you got Jason Kidd at plus 1,600. Nate McMillan right there with the Hawks. Tyronn Lue. Greg Popovich always in the mix. And Steven Silas with the Houston Rockets with plus 6,000 odds. I know you see Tibbs over there, but what other name do you think can make a real splash as a coaching standout next season?
So I requested to our production staff that Stephen Silas be on this list at plus 6,000 because to me, I just couldn't believe how far down he is on that list. You know, what an unfortunate season he had to start his career as the head coach of the Houston Rockets. James Harden leaves. He has Victor Oladipo for a hot second, a different sort of John Wall. And finally, that last month of the season or so, we started to see this young, fun team in Houston. And, you know, that young core, guys like Kevin Porter Jr. coming in and Jayshawn Tate. And all of a sudden you see this team that, you know, when we talk about coach of the year, if the Houston Rockets, they don't even have to make the playoffs. In my mind, if they are competing for a playoff spot this year, Stephen Silas will be the coach of the year. There's no doubt about it based on what he's had to do with that team, really being given a team all the way down in the gutter. If he's able to do something with them, that'll be incredible. Look, Tibbs needs to come in first this year with the Knicks. That's just sort of the nature of the way things are, that he was the coach of the year last year. Has Greg Popovich ever been plus 5,000, you think, Kaz, or at least in the last 20 years? If the Spurs turn it around, which under Pop, you just never know, he's also someone to take a look at.
Just never know. And speaking of your boy Stephen Silas, I don't know if they're going to win a whole lot of games, but they will definitely be exciting with the additions of Josh Christopher and Jalen Green. They're going to be high flying and they're going to be fun to watch. So who knows, man? But let's talk about Tibbs' staple.
The scariest team is a team with nothing to lose. That's what I'm saying. The scariest team is a team with nothing to lose.
Jeff, you ain't never said nothing but a word, bro. I ain't mad at that thought at all. But let's talk about Tibbs' staple, and that's defense. And let's talk about these odds for the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year. Full screen me. Rudy Gobert. I mean, he'll make history if he can take it home again. The embattled Ben Simmons, despite everything, is still a high chance of winning Defensive Player of the Year. You got Anthony Davis right behind him, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, and Miles Turner behind them. Lots of interesting names here. Talk to me, Jeff.
Those are very generous odds for Ben Simmons. I will say that to start. Very generous at plus 375. Giannis is the one that jumps out to me. You know, how many times have we seen
not a free throw award, Jeff, all right? Just be nice. Be nice to Ben.
We don't know where he's going to be playing next year. I think that how many times have we seen this, Kaz, where we've seen a player get all the individual accolades and then take a step back, it feels like, and say, okay, I'm going to get my championship this year. Then they get the championship and then they say, all right, now I got to do it all. And I think Giannis is in that sort of mold. Remember, he was the Defensive Player of the Year and the MVP 2 years ago. He got his championship last season. And I think, 3 straight times all defensive first team. I think this is a guy who knows that defense is what is going to be part of his legacy. I think he plays without that chip on his shoulder in a good way this year, knowing what he can do in the NBA. And I'm not saying he's the best defensive player, but I don't think Joel Embiid can stay healthy for a full season to win this award. Rudy Gobert, those odds are too low there. I think Giannis is the guy to take a look at for some value.
Now, Jeff, I know this wasn't a producer question, but I'm buying low on Ben Simmons, all right? A lot of people are counting that boy out, and I feel like he's going to come playing like a bat out of hell next season. But if you know me, I love some long shots. So let's do it. Producers, full screen me. Let's talk to him. Drew Holiday, the Olympian, the world champion, plus 1,600 odds, sharing the same odds as his fellow Olympians, Draymond Green and Bam Adebayo. Playoff P got plus 3,000 odds with DeAndre Ayton right behind him, and Mitchell Robinson, coming off of injury, has plus 5,000 odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. He has been talking on social media. He wants to let the world know y'all must have forgot. So talk to me a little bit about these odds, man. I like Mitchell Robinson here. What about you?
Well, Mitchell Robinson's great value. If he's back, if he's healthy, we know how much floor he can cover. And if he gets those minutes, obviously Nerlens Noel is also there with the Knicks, 2 great defensive players. We'll have to take a look at how things shake up there. Drew Holiday is a great defensive player. It's just so hard for a guard to win Defensive Player of the Year. So the guy I'm looking at on this list is Bam Adebayo, who I can almost call East Coast Rudy Gobert in terms of his actual defensive presence. And I almost think people overlook the defense because of how good offensively he is. The length that he's shown, what he's shown he's able to do in the interior, I think Bam is a good look here.
I like those odds, Jeff, and I'm not mad at you because you're the man with the numbers and you're much smarter than me when it comes to putting them together. So we're going to send our fans back to check out this Knicks Cavs game. That's the man with the numbers, Jeff Eisenband. I'm Kazim Famuide, and this is MSG PM presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Your app is ready, Emperor. Peace out.